happy to have technology. Imagine doing this even just 10 years ago. It wouldn't have been.
Oh, no, 10 years ago, no.
So we are live, everybody. Welcome to Raising Multilinguals Live, the weekly informal chat that Ute and I do the Tuesday afternoon. So let me bring Ute onto the screen.
Into the screen. I'm going to squeeze into it.
She's going to be with us in just a second. So, hello, Ute.
Hello, Tetsu. Hi, how are you doing?
We meet again. Let me put down the volume on this side.
Yes. I think
turn it completely off.
Okay. I'm going to switch it off on my side. Hello, everyone. I see that today we are also live in my Facebook group, Multilingual Families.
So if we just lost the live on the Instagram, but let's keep talking.
Never mind. So, but we are live in the others. So, from wherever you're joining us, in whichever group you are, please let us know if you have any questions. And if you want us to discuss a certain topic. I think we have to reconnect on Instagram.
Yes, I will do that right now. Okay, we will be on in just a second. So I was saying, as we were connecting, that it's, we have our little tweaks and stuff to do, but I am so grateful that we have this
technology, and then we have Murphy in the room. Either he is. It's a male. Why is it a male? Okay, that's a male. Why is it? Sometimes it's on Instagram and sometimes it's on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever. I see that you're live, but I cannot. Can you invite me? Thank you. Let me into the screen, on the screen, under the screen, next to the screen, wherever.
Invite. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you're here too. All right.
Am I there?
Yes.
It's like, after all these years that we have been working with these things, it's still, are you here? I can't hear you. I can't see you.
Oh my goodness. So, 3 years since we started Raising Multilinguals Live.
We should celebrate.
Yes, I think it was the 7th of July 2020. Right?
Yes, exactly. And we met slightly before that. And I would like to do a shout out to Rita, because I am very thankful to Rita Rosenbach, who was the one who connected us, who told me, listen, don't you want to do something? And I said, yeah, why not? Very timidly. And then we said, okay, let's see how this evolves and what we are going to do, etc. And look where we are today.
3 years later, we have about 50 to
more
60
than 50
interviews, and then countless shorts and these lives that we're doing. These are all great content that's going to be on the internet forever.
Yes, and we're going to, like you just said, we are doing shorts of the longer videos because we're very much aware that these interviews are very long. Not everyone wants to sit there for an hour to see what precious and very important information and insights people are sharing with us. So that's Tetsu and I, we were going through the mall again for the upteenth time, to cut out little pearls and shorter ones for shorts, that's a minute, that you can find on our YouTube channel, and then also longer ones that now we are preparing. That takes a little bit more of time, but technology is on our side, and we are both very much fond of that technology nowadays. So we are going to share also longer pieces of these interviews, of the insights, so you can then decide, okay, I just want to watch maybe 5 minutes. And then if you see that the topic is something that you want to know more, then you can always hop on the whole interview and then have a look at how it's structured and where you find other kind of answers to your questions that you might have, or maybe even that you didn't know that you have these questions. So sometimes, like it happened for us, right, Tetsu? Every time we interview someone, we say, "Oh, we didn't think about this one," but now we know.
That's right. That's
So
right. But even just in the past 3 years with Raising Multilinguals Live, we've been on Zoom, we've been using Restream, these different platforms, and now we've finally settled down on StreamYard. And I just like literally, an hour or two ago, I was thinking about, okay, how can we actually use this type of streaming directly on Instagram? Because just up to last year, I think we can't do it. Their API is not open for third party, but they actually have Instagram itself now has a new. It's called Instagram Live Producer. So they're allowing people to live stream through the producer on your PC or your Mac. But this only started last year, and they're only allowing a handful of beta users.
Yes.
But so hopefully we'll be seeing that very soon. Hopefully.
There is a thing. So these are the technicalities, right? So we're playing around with technicalities in order to also reach people on different platforms. I see that we have Gabi Marquez on Instagram. Hello, hi, nice to meet you. And yes, as I said before, please let us know if you have any questions. I made just a suggestion what we could talk about, as I have been talking with some parents about how they can make sure that their children, now that there are summer holidays, this part of the Northern Hemisphere, and people are going on summer holidays and visiting family in the country of origin or where their home languages are spoken. And they were asking, but they might not be ready yet to speak a lot with the family. And then sometimes the parents are afraid that the extended family and friends are making strange comments, or that the children get discouraged in speaking, using the language, and then actually don't really take advantage of this full immersion experience. So I thought we could share some tips and maybe share also our own experience. Tetsu, you never shared with me, for example, what your experience was when you said that you went to Canada when you were 13, but I imagine that you went home also every now and then. Yes. And how was that for you? Did you feel like I'm not that fluent anymore?
How do you define home?
So home where your parents are. Where?
So precisely, I grew up in Taiwan, and my parents. So my father's Taiwanese, my mother's Japanese, and they lived in Taiwan in those days, and I came to Canada. But every year they allowed me to go back, but not go back to Taiwan, but go back to Japan.
Okay.
I went to my uncle's place in Japan. So
that's not really going home. Yeah.
My mother's older brother. Because I was going to Japan also from Taiwan before going to Canada. So it was just that tradition. I guess every summer I would spend summer vacations in Japan.
Yeah.
That's how I kept up with my Japanese.
Yes. But that was
a lot.
Yeah.
And how did I feel? Well, it felt like going home because I was going to Japan anyways every summer before going to Canada. And,
so it was something that you did also before, so you were just continuing that kind of habit, right?
Exactly. Until my early 20s.
Okay. Wow, that's a long time. Yeah, I remember that we stopped somehow when I was around 16-ish, 15-ish to go to Germany. Every summer, not every summer. We skipped some summers, but I remember that sometimes I went to an international school, but to the German section. So I had German every day, but still it's German learned abroad. So I always felt like it was like a filter. Yeah.
Okay.
And when I went to Germany to my cousins who were more or less my same age, I didn't know the slang. I didn't know the movies they were watching, the music they were listening to, etc. So it took me.
Was it every year?
It was every year, yes.
Every year.
At least for 2 weeks, and then we did other holidays as well. But it was a must a bit.
I was there a good 2 months solid.
Oh, that
3.
we don't have such long holiday. Or let's say, yeah, when I was 14, I sat there for 4 weeks. Because I went there alone and went back also. That was the first and only time that I spent 4 weeks only with my extended family. And that was something that I still remember. My parents were in Italy.
Okay, so they stayed in Italy.
They stayed in Italy, and my sister was already at university, so she was not there. But
so it's very similar to what I had.
Yeah,
I went there alone.
and that was the best summer ever somehow, because it was really during a time where I was questioning being German, using German, and I didn't want to be that German, etc. So it was like, oh, do I really need to go? And then I went, but then I met friends of my cousins. We hung out, and I learned so many different things. And at the end, I said, actually, this is a little bit a sense of life that I could have had if I was born in Germany and raised in Germany in that kind of context. And I said, that's not bad. But in the end,
like during those years, have you ever thought to yourself, this is where I'd like to live?
Actually,
I live here, and then you go visit, for a certain amount of time in a different place, and go, I want to live here. Like,
it's
not up to you, but
no. If I had to choose, I went back and forth, and I found also other places that I liked. So I would emphasize that for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
So if it's just that time, and you can go back, and you go back to your normal, then it's okay. Then it's like a holiday.
Yeah.
Because what I also saw, and maybe you experience it as well, but if you go home, everyone has time for you. They have great ideas on what to do. But if you have them on their everyday schedule, they don't have time. They need to do other things. So if you move back, for example, then the life completely changes. They don't ask you out. They don't ask you to do that. They don't make time for you like if you are there on holidays. And that is a big difference, I find, which I think I already understood this, and I said, no, actually, maybe it's better where I am. I mean, I felt very, very, very good in Italy where I grew up, and I mean, there were my friends and the rest of the family. I mean, my core family. So.
Do I know which city was it? Was it Florence or
No.
Venezia?
No, not Venezia. Venezia would have been. It was in the north, and it's called Varese. I grew up in Varese. That's a bit more north from Milan and very close to the Swiss border.
I see. Well, that makes sense. You're speaking Swiss German and all.
Yeah, no.
There is a. Hang on.
No, Swiss German is far away. There is an Italian-speaking part in Ticino that is near there. Yeah. But I learned Swiss German thanks to television. For 1 year, we had Swiss German television, and I watched a show about animals, dogs, cats, and so I was very into that. And that's how I learned Swiss German in a more receptive way somehow.
Wow.
But,
wow. My kids now, they literally arrived in Taiwan just a few hours ago.
Oh, wow.
They moved from Japan.
Yes.
They've been in Japan since April 23rd.
April.
Yeah, since April they've been in Japan. They finished all their schools last week. This week they moved to Taiwan. And in a few hours when they wake up, they're going to school in Taiwan.
Wow. It's a great shift, huh?
Yeah, and then I will go at the end of this month. So July 30th, I will go to Taiwan. And then my wife will come back a few days after.
Yeah.
She'll take care of Ronnie, who's here right now.
Oh, Ronnie's not going to Taiwan?
No, Ronnie's gonna stay here. He's got his summer camps, and 3 days. Just if it's not hiking, it's golf, hockey,
all kind of things. Yes. And he's not missing this family holidays, going to Japan and then Taiwan if it's possible.
I don't know. I don't know if he doesn't say anything. He's like, oh, okay. If this is it, no. It's like, oh, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. No, not really.
No, not really. Yeah, but is he going to stay also with your parents then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
they don't come with you
No,
to Taiwan. Okay.
no. It's just for a few weeks, and then so Yuko's with the 3 younger kids in Japan, in Taiwan right now. I go, she comes back alone, then I bring the 3 back to Canada on August 6th.
You don't see each other. You have a flight maybe. Just said, hi. That's my plane.
In the air.
Yeah, it's like, that's my plane. Oh, my wife is on that plane. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Oh, this is just crazy. Every year we do this, but
yes,
hey,
but it's a lot. It's a lot of maybe it's sacrifice, maybe it's not. I don't know how it feels for you. Is it?
It's a lot of memories,
Yes,
we're creating.
Yeah, absolutely. I see it on the pictures that you share. That's a lot of memories of it. Like in the winter, you share pictures of the summer, in the summer, pictures of the winter to cool down a little bit. So, yes.
Exactly. So many activities. So my Instagram's like a database of all the memories. Just putting it up there.
Yes. So if anyone has questions about how to structure maybe that visit home with the children in a way that it's not daunting for parents. I know that it can be very frustrating when you see that people are not speaking with your children because they don't speak properly or whatever they name it. Please just share with us or say, let's talk about that.
What are the things that you're concerned about before going? What kind of activities that you prepare? If it's a week or 2, I mean, you just visit, go around the families and friends. But if it's like 2 months, like what we do, right? I mean, you can't just travel around for 2 months.
No, you can maybe, yes, like you say, have clubs. Either they go to school, your children go to school. But if you cannot send your children to school because it's just a different school system, or they are all on holidays, like here. Yeah, if I go to Italy, they are on holidays. I cannot send my children to the school, but I can send them to any kind of camp or activities during the day. For example, my children didn't like to go to camps abroad, even if they knew the language. Because somehow it's also family time, and then we would have friends coming over and meeting other friends, so you were always driving somewhere, meeting someone, and so that was a little bit the activities for the whole family. But then at the end of the day you were all together, so us core family together, which was something that was a constant kind of thing. But I know that others sign up the children, I don't know, for sailing classes, surf classes, or whatever. Yeah. So that is also something.
It is. And it's not just during the day. Like,
no.
There's also in the evenings, like my wife, she works in the evenings. So we need, either have our babysitter be with the kids, or we send them off to like a little private swimming lessons or golf lessons, or have friends gather. All this takes a lot of planning and organizing, right? It's logistics, basically.
Yeah, and if you don't have babysitters, we didn't have babysitters, and we also didn't have family who could look after our children. Who were willing to look after our children. So it was all on our shoulders, which is quite something. If you're all active and then you're just tired, and still you have to cook and prepare for the next day and everything. So it's not easy. But at the end of the holidays, my husband and I, we were just tired. Like two zombies.
As it usually is, right? Holidays, people think holidays, you're gonna rest, you're gonna, take it easy. No. When you come back from holidays and get back into working routine, that's when you take it easy. That's when you rest, so to speak. That's where you sort of go. We let the crazy past few days or weeks sort of
As, as
settle and.
yes, as nice and lovely it is to have this very intense time with your children, it is
Intense.
something. It's
exactly.
very intense. I mean, but it changes over time, and that's the only
Yeah.
thing that makes you going, because every year there's something new. You discover something new. You discover maybe we did a lot of road trips with our children where you would stay maybe in one place 1 day, 2 days, and then move to the next one. That is something that we all enjoyed. I don't know. I have like a nomadic soul. I like to travel around, but that was also something very nice to look back to. And I know that Yoshito, I don't know if he's following us from somewhere, he's going to do this with his sons, with his family this summer.
Is he going back to
France?
To France this year?
Last
year, I think he was in Korea.
Yes.
Right? That was last year? It doesn't feel so far, but I guess it would be last year.
It could be last year, I think so, or 2 years ago. But yes, we all have somehow, I don't know, it's nice to travel around a country that or you have visited yourself, and you want to visit also your children, and to have a look at things that you have seen 20, 30 years ago, and you say, there was this house, or there was this restaurant. It's not there anymore, but actually...
Yeah,
and like much about that.
What you mentioned earlier, I think, is that you asked whether Ronnie misses going back to Taiwan, or misses this change of pace, and I think he probably doesn't care so much. Like it's not his thing. Like traveling per se is not his thing, and I can totally understand that, because for me, before I was like 18 or 17 or so, I didn't care about traveling. Yes, I like going back to Japan and spending the summer there. So that may be a little different from Ronnie, but traveling and seeing the world was not really my thing until I was like 17 or 18, when I don't know what caught my 17, 18. I traveled around, I guess, a little bit around the area, but it was when I was 20 that I went to Europe for the first time. And that really, I know, 18 is when I went to Ecuador, and I learned, that's when Spanish. I learned Spanish, and I saw like a completely different world.
Yes, but that's also something that's interesting to see, because you're mentioning, you were going back to Japan and maybe back to Canada. Did you also travel to other places during those days? No. And that
I
is
didn't
something,
care.
Yeah, and that's something that I see in many families as well, that you spend the longest holidays you have in the country where the language that you speak at home is spoken, in order to help your children get this full immersion, etc.
Yeah.
But then somehow, I don't want to say that you miss out something else. You don't, because this is just what we can do. We cannot say, okay, we go a month to Italy to have this full immersion into Italy, and then we go to, I don't know, Curacao or to Portugal or something, just to have family holidays. This is just not in the budget of people. Yeah, it's not something that you can do, and you have to take into account also that the parents don't have such long holidays, depending on where you live. Yeah, maybe you have
on what kind of job you do.
Yeah, maybe you have 4 weeks, 6 weeks of holidays the whole year, and that's it. So you cannot do this unless you have someone who then takes care of your children, brings them back, or whatever. I mean, that's a whole other story. But then you give also their children. I remember when we were little, my parents also always tried to also visit other places, not only going Varese and grandma's place or aunt's place, etc., and back and forth, but also go a little bit towards France, Austria, I don't know, going make a tour through Italy, instead of going from A to B. So in order to broaden a little bit this horizon.
But did you always have an interest in other countries, other cultures? Like I said, Ronnie, I don't think he really cares. Like even last fall when I went to the Polyglot conference in Mexico, I said I wanted to bring him. He said, "No, I don't want to go."
No?
No, he didn't want to go.
Yeah, but
So I left him here. But my
that's
daughter, I think my daughter,
she
this
would
year
like
going
to.
to Japan, she wanted to go, and I think she likes traveling a little more. Is this a girl
Yes.
thing, guy thing?
I have no idea. I know
I think
my
in general, girls, have
no, I
more
don't know.
affinity with
I
traveling.
I would not make this gender difference. Huh?
It's not I'm just saying on average.
Yes, on
Of
average.
course, there
I
are.
don't know. No, I don't know. I can just say what I saw. I mean, my father liked to travel a lot, and my son likes to travel a lot. He likes to is
Oh,
very
there you go.
curious.
So you have boys and girls. I
Yes.
guess you would see. Did your girls and boys have different affinities for traveling at
No.
given ages? Like
No,
I
they
only developed it later in life, so it's a developed taste.
no, I don't know. I think since they were young, even if we went to one place, but they were always involved in telling what they wanted to do the next day or the next week, who they wanted to see. We had a list then, and we said, okay, they are here, so let's see them, or maybe those ones first, or do you want to see that person or that family? And then they somehow they could decide themselves. So whenever they had their own saying, they were really into it. And also on
Yeah.
longer trips,
Hmm.
they also during walks through a big city. I remember walking through Paris with my children, and my little daughter, she was, I don't know, 5 or something. She had a map and she said, "Follow me." And we followed her. I'm not sure she knew where we were going, but she actually brought us where we wanted to go with
Okay.
a few detours, because you need to turn it was not on a device. It was really a map, and she turned it around, and I mean there were all the different La Tour Eiffel, you could see it, and we were not too far away. But anyways, these kind of involvements of the children, that they can decide what to do and when to do it
Yeah.
and how to do it, I think that encourages them a little bit more about that. I see then we have
Hmm.
Ming Gui Kong following us on
Recon.
yes,
Okay.
on Instagram.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
If
Recon. How are you doing?
Let us know what you are doing this summer. Where are you going this summer? Are you going to a place where one of your home languages are spoken, or maybe a new language, something that you want to learn, or not? Just to relax and have fun.
Yeah, when you think about families that go to a new place every year, change of scenery every year, it's really the vacation, the relaxation, the change of scenery,
Hmm.
change of pace. That's the purpose. Whereas, for us, this is part of it, but it's more about connecting with our roots
Yes.
and the
Yes, because
languages,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So. Well,
yeah,
I
and
guess the
this
purpose is different in that sense.
it's completely different. And I mean,
Mhm.
my children go and went to a British school, and some of their friends are British, and they go to a British school, so they have a full immersion the whole time. And they went to other places, to exotic places. And my children were always saying, "Why aren't we going there?" I said, "Well, they speak English at home. They speak English at school. They go to the UK every month, yeah, because it's very close. So they don't have our kind of urge to dive into our culture, to see family in another place, in another country. For them, going to Germany is something exotic, maybe not
Mhm.
exotic, but it's different. Or going to Greece or something like that. So it's different, but it's worth it. So
Of course, it's worth it. If they don't know it now, they will know it later. I did.
yes, 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 absolutely. And we still have to have things that our children need to discover. We cannot make travel the world. I mean, there are families who travel the world. We are not,
Mm.
but yeah,
But let's switch gears a little bit
yes,
and talk about a little bit related. and I've been going through your Facebook group, and I saw some questions, and here's one that I thought we could maybe address on air. It's a little related to going back and forth, but here we have not actually going back and forth, but a family that's living in a third country. So we have a
Mm-hmm.
French mommy and an Australian Italian daddy. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
they're living in India.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
English.
it's English speaking country somewhere.
Hmm.
Okay, and so they want to be able to keep all three languages. And that's the scenario. It's a very typical scenario many people would have. Mommy with the first language and then daddy with a different first language. They speak possibly a third language that's in common, or they speak the other person's language very well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you raise your kids to speak these languages? And in this specific case, I think the problem is that mommy speaks French, daddy speaks English and Italian, but daddy doesn't really want to speak Italian to the kid. Okay, so
Yes.
and he speaks English, so he prefers to speak English, and mommy's like, well, we live in England, why don't we give him
Or
a third language?
okay, I think it's France, but never mind. Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Whatever.
Oh, yes.
I just
It's
saw
in a
it now.
French-speaking country.
I'm looking.
Indeed.
So
So
yes, but when I always say if a parent is reluctant to speak a language, they have a reason.
there you go.
And they have also a right to say, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Mhm.
So instead,
Absolutely.
because if you tell yourself, I need to speak language blue because my parents speak it, because I want my children to speak with my parents, etc., but it costs me a lot of energy and I'm not really that into that language when the children are born and when the children are little, when they are young, then they will sense this, and they will sense this distance that you have towards the language to the language that you're using. And this is not beneficial. So I know that many multilinguals who grow up with different languages have this feeling. I had this feeling at the beginning also with my children. I said, I don't want to talk German with them. That was my first reaction. We were living in Italy. We were planning to stay in Italy, which then didn't work out, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But my first idea was I raised my children speaking Italian. I had no doubts about that. Absolutely not. But then, you have to make this decision when they are young and then live with it. And the rest needs to live with this as well. And I mean, something that I think I suggested to this person was to see who else can cover Italian instead. Like in your case, you could have an au pair, right, living in, or you can have a nanny, or you can have maybe someone from your community, someone who comes in, a neighbor who takes care of your child 2 times a week or whatever. It always also depends on what the goal is about the language. Do you want the child to speak Italian every single day? Why? Is there a reason for this? Because if they visit Italy once per year and maybe the family does not FaceTime every week or every day, some FaceTime every day. I don't know how they do this.
I think in this case it is actually, they go once or twice a year, and it's the grandparents that they can't speak any English. So they really want the kids to be able to have at least a working level of Italian to connect with the family.
Honestly, I also say, well, also the grandparents have their role, right? So
there you go.
Ask them. What can you do in order to help us foster Italian? Because I don't feel like doing it. But I want my children to be able to talk to you. So help me with that.
Yeah. All this, I think, is predicated on, the assumption that the couple, daddy and mommy, actually had discussed this in depth, and daddy understands clearly the stakes at hand. Mommy really wants, daddy to be able to pass on this heritage language. Daddy, for different reasons, don't want to do it. but sometimes you can sort of reason it through. Sometimes you can't, but at least you can feel, if you feel that you have discussed and put everything on the table, everything's clear, and you made a conscious decision to not use it, good. Then that's actionable. We can say, okay, in that case, we'll get an au pair. In that case, we'll that discussion. Oftentimes, I feel is maybe lacking. A little bit more discussion there. Maybe Dad didn't see it that way. And
absolutely. And I mean, we have different expectations and different possibilities ourselves to transmit the language, or maybe we just don't like doing this or focusing on that, and that needs to be fine as well. I mean, it's like one parent emphasizes the languages, the next one emphasizes sports, and maybe together they emphasize music or maths or whatever it is. So you have different things that you want to put in the foreground, and if it's more one parent who pushes one thing, then it's okay. But it's what I find important that they communicate and that they agree on something, because if they are struggling, the children they will resist just for the sake of playing out of this. I don't want to get into this trouble with mommy and daddy, or daddy and daddy, mommy, however the family is. But
who knows? Maybe if daddy didn't really understand how important this was for mommy, and mommy's like, I really would love for the kids to do this, and dad's like, but that I don't like speaking Italian in front of other people, in front of the kids or something. But I understand that you really want them to pick up Italian. Are there other avenues?
Yes.
And mommy goes, okay, it'll cost us some money, but we could hire a nanny. Daddy may go, okay, how much? And depending on that, he wants to be able to satisfy mommy's needs, and mommy is providing different solutions, and then they can talk it through, and perhaps daddy goes, okay, well, at that cost, I'll do it myself. Or we can outsource it. It's not a nice word, but it is.
It is like that. Or you have, sorry if I'm really like that, but I would say, or you just have your parents move in and
that's another solution.
You can have them over there.
Wait a minute. I don't know what I'm getting myself into now. That is a possibility. We make fun of it a little bit, but
Yes, no.
Maybe he loves his parents, and that would be great.
No, I personally wouldn't like to live with my parents, but I know that you are living with your parents close by, so that is perfectly possible. But that's not everyone's.
Well, think about it. Yeah, maybe for her it's like maybe it's a sacrifice for her, but she's willing to do it for her kids, and he's happy to have his parents in. That's that's one solution. But I guess the bottom line is, getting to really understand each other's wants and what are the costs, I guess, of the purpose is still we're definitely aligned on finding a great future for our kids, right? What can we sacrifice to get it? If speaking Italian is not something that is something you really resist, then let's find another way. But we still want to find a way to get our kids to speak Italian. And hopefully they're at least aligned on that, right?
Yes. But then in the end, I mean, there are so many options. You can also, instead of introducing it from the first day or the first time, I mean, when they're very small, you can introduce it later.
There you go.
In another way. And so, I mean, sometimes, many parents also notice that once the child is there, they shift their expectations, but also their willingness to maybe transmit the language, and all of a sudden say, oh no, I want to transmit my language. Once you hold that child in your arms, the whole world is just changing within seconds, minutes, maybe, I don't know, or hours. But anyways,
I do it again.
You're doing it. What?
It's the irrational me speaking.
It's the irrational you speaking. Okay, I hope that is your wife listening.
Well, I'm sure she'd do it. She's much more irrational than me.
Okay. Oh my.
But we have to
Yes.
sit down, be calm, and think it through.
Yes. But anyway, yeah. So yes, that was one question. Yeah, that's
Yes.
something that we might be doing in the next weeks as well, so that we pick some questions from my Facebook group, but I will ask maybe beforehand which ones
Sure.
are okay.
Sure. These questions, lots of times of course, the specifics are different, but the concept is the same. And it's just, these are questions that come back over and over and over again, different groups, and for us to talk about it like this, I think, hopefully it'll spread. It's what we want to do. Give it as much reach as possible, so people could be inspired with different people's situations. And
yes, and then I mean it's not set in stone. If you choose language blue and then the child is there and something else happens, you can adjust, and you can change things pretty much.
that's often, the hardest answer. It's like kind of the question, the answer that people don't want to hear. It's not set in stone. Oh, what? I have to think. It depends. Oh, don't we hate that answer? It depends.
I like that answer. I like that answer.
We like that answer because we like to work problems out. But
yes,
many people, they just like the instructions: A, B, C, step 1, step 2, step 3, and I have a bilingual child, and I have a trilingual child. Right? This kind of stuff.
It's not working out like that.
It's not that simple, is it?
No, it's not. And I think everything that is really worth working on it's not simple and requires hope. And Tetsu is gone, so it's not something that stays the same. I mean, everything changes constantly, so it's not. We don't expect anything in our lives to stay the same for 20 years. No. Why would we expect something like that to stay the same?
We wish.
What? Why?
Many of us wish that, because it's too complicated. Why not just have,
Okay, you mean it's like, okay, I've taken care of it. Now it's like that. It's going to stay for 20 years because I don't want really to focus on it because I prefer this one. That might be. If it's not one of your concerns or something that you want to spend energy and time and everything on, then I can understand. But still,
I'm just saying, raising bilingual kids, there's so many factors that come into play that it's daunting. It's a daunting aspect of parenting. I think that people wish that there's actually just a step-by-step guide that sort of guarantees an outcome.
But parenting doesn't come with a guide. I mean, do you imagine when our children come to
with
this
an instruction
world
manual?
With an instruction manual? I mean, it would be different for every child. That's already a challenge.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
And then you have to update and you have to combine the different guides and make them work out. I mean, it's just not possible. Or someone, when we married, there was someone, oh, is there a guide for married people? I said, oh, you're joking. I mean, that's not possible. Not every couple is the same. I mean, there are some guides or guidelines or whatever, but who wants to follow them? I mean, I'm very resistant to that kind of guides. So the word guide already makes me a bit, I don't want to be guide. I want to be the one who goes. I don't want someone to tell me where to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to be the one who decides. And this is something that I find very important, that even if we give people some, I wouldn't say advice, just suggestions, and then you decide, do you want to take it or not? It's up to you. But I'm not deciding for anyone. Everyone has, we all have our brains, we all have our little things, yeah? And we have to decide for ourselves. It's not to someone else telling me, do this, that, and that. The only thing I can say is, if you do this, chances are high or low that this might happen, and then
These are
chances
the
are high
potential
or low
outcomes.
that comes up. But it all depends. So, and there you are. So it's really not as straightforward as that, and that makes it so interesting. And for me,
Of course.
raising children is not something that you just put aside or you do on the side. Either you do it, at least in my opinion, I find it's worth to focus on those children. They're
But like
going
you
to
say,
move out tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's party time for the parents.
It's party time for the parents. Yes, exactly.
Now you can travel the world.
And the 7 seas. Yes. Anya. Hello, Anya. Nice to have you on Instagram.
Hello, Anya. Now that we have a new audience, how about we do maybe one more question? I guess
Do you have one more question? I didn't.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me see. I had a few lined up here.
There were not so many this week, I think.
Okay.
I have shared a few things.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
why don't we share the one that you talked about with Yoshito a little bit about the name pronunciation of names. I think this is a pretty nice topic because I myself went through that. You went through that. Something we can have personal experience in addition to our thought process for our kids. That's also a huge one. So
and Yoshito, I have to say his name. I wanted to say his name in a Japanese way, and I guess Yoshito, not Yoshito. Yoshito sarebbe italiano, ecco, è uscito con l'accento sulla I. But in Japanese, you don't pronounce the E. So
So let me give our audience a little bit of background on this question here. So when we grow up abroad, we don't necessarily embrace our heritage, culture, and language the way our parents want. So we rather thrive in the culture where all our facets are allowed and valued. This article emphasizes something that I compared to the monolingual mindset, the monocultural mindset, and some immigrants have. So that's sort of the background of an article that you were talking about.
Yes.
Okay. But the title of the article, I guess, is what brings up the question. It says, as a kid, I wished for a name that wasn't constantly mispronounced. Here's why I won't change it now. That's just that title really draws our attention because it's the lived experience of so many of us, especially those who live in different cultures. The so-called third culture kids. I'm sure many people would have experienced this.
Unless you are Anna, or called Anna, but even then it's Anna, Anya, Anna. However, you can mispronounce names also as short as mine. Ute can be anything. Ute, Uti, Uti, Ute. Who's a Ute?
Yeah.
Who's that? What's that? Because the E might be a schwa, or Utina to add something and to make it nicer or something. I was always like. No, but yes, wishing for a name. I mean, sometimes we think about the names we give our children and we have something in mind, and then they end up in a context where people mispronounce them constantly. We were talking about this with our daughters lately, and but they don't mind. Actually, they don't mind, and I don't mind either. I respond and even if I know that someone makes the effort to say it in the way that it would be pronounced in German, but I know that it's too much of an effort. I'm fine with that if they just call me. But I had the situation lately with a name. It was an Icelandic name. I really could not remember how to pronounce it, and I saw just this line of of letters, and I didn't know how do I which one was mute now, which one was not, and I avoided naming her. And that was for me a thing that I never had before.
Okay.
So I started then pronouncing the name, and I said the first few things, and I saw that she was like, "Are you pronouncing it right?" And then I stopped and I said, "Oh, could you please?" And I didn't say the name. And this is something that I find very intimidating. Yeah.
Mhm.
If someone has this expectation, please say my name. And what I found also with the names, if they are very long and very difficult to memorize and to
Mhm.
pronounce for someone else, sometimes you have an abbreviation of the name. Yeah. Thought of Thomas. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not so difficult. You say Tom
Mhm.
or something like that. And that helps the others to have this conversation with you. So I think the expectations should be a bit realistic. But a part of that, having a name, and in this article that I mentioned in this post, the person was herself not able to pronounce her name properly
Okay.
because they gave her a name that she did not pronounce how it had to be pronounced, which
Wow.
I
Okay.
find even worse because
Wow. Okay. I
I
can
find
relate. I can definitely relate.
that is uh, that is something where I was a bit shocked when
Mhm.
she said that. And then when you have maybe a parent telling you no, but you have to pronounce it this way and corrects you whilst you pronounce your own name, how does it make you feel?
Mhm.
I want to change that name.
Mhm.
I don't feel okay with that.
Well, I mean, think about it. There are many languages like Chinese has very difficult pronunciations for English speakers. Uh,
Mhm.
some of these sounds are very very distinct, and it's very hard. My name Mao Zhe in Chinese it's very
Mozi,
hard. Mao Zhe. Like the
mozi,
accent is very important too. Mao is the
mo,
fourth accent.
mozi,
Zhe is a second.
ze,
Yeah, and the
mozi,
Z is it's not Z, and it's not a TS like so strong as a TS. It's Z. It's like right between Z
ze.
and C, right?
It's ze,
It's Z.
ze,
So this kind of
mozi.
stuff, when you tell people, oh, my name is this, right away, because it's so difficult to pronounce, people would ask, is this right? Is that right? And it's not. They're not. They don't mean anything. They don't mean.
No,
They don't have bad
no,
intentions or anything. But it's if you do it day in and day out all the time because it's your name. It's the thing that people use the most, other than you. So
yes.
and Tetsu also is not the. It's the easy pronunciation that I use because it's
Mm-hmm.
Tetsu.
Tetsu.
Tsu is not a you. It's not an e. It's not an I. It's
It's
like
an It's like a schwa kind.
oh yeah. Well,
Tetsu. Tetsu.
it's not tsu. It's not
No, no.
tsu. Yeah.
Ah, no.
No, tsu. Tsu.
Tetsu.
It's almost as if you're
Tet-
pronouncing just the ts without a vowel.
Tetsu.
Tsu.
Tetsu.
Yeah,
Tetsu.
but there is an exo. I don't even know how to explain it because in the Japanese alphabet there's a u e o kakiku keko and all that, and there's ta chi tsu te
Right?
to. So ta chi tsu. The third one is the tsu.
Okay. Tachi.
Te is the
Tsu.
fourth one in that line, and
Tsu.
to ta chi tsu te to tsu
Tat-
te. So you just say
Tsu.
it. So in reverse, it's te tsu.
Tetsu.
Yeah, te is
Tetsu.
not bad. It's everybody can
Tetsu.
say
Okay,
that.
you can
Tsu.
pronounce that, but Tetsu.
Tsu.
Tetsu.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there.
Oh.
I asked my son
Yeah.
to
It's
give me
already
feedback
it's
as
already
to
it's already easier than my Chinese name, which is Mao Tzu. Mao.
Mao
That the tone is very important to get
Mao
that correctly
Mao
too.
Tzu.
Mao
Mao
Tzu.
Mao Tzu.
Yeah.
Mao Tzu.
See?
Okay,
So
ask me in half an hour. I don't know anymore.
there you go.
You know what
So
I need to do
yeah.
when I meet someone new and the names are difficult for me. I have to transcribe them phonetically. Then I can memorize. But you need to be
Okay.
able to do that.
Yeah.
Or something else that I shared in another group was if you have a LinkedIn account, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there is the option that you can record your own name. So do that.
Oh.
Click on the
Well,
picture,
you
and
know what
then
I would be
you
afraid
get
of?
walk through. Yeah.
As an adult, it's less scary. But if I were a kid, I would always be afraid of how people would just butcher the name for fun.
Oh yes,
Okay,
that's not
because
nice.
kids are cruel. right?
Some adults.
Especially if your name pronounced a certain wrong way is something super vulgar.
Yes,
Or,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, that happens all the time if it comes from
Yeah.
a different language. And so those are sort of the things that as parents, for when I was picking out names, I was trying to make sure that I would pick out a name that's easy to pronounce for everybody, and also that there's no be careful in the 5 languages that we speak, that at least there's no connection to anything vulgar, and the kids would be bullied because of that.
Yes.
Right?
No, that's not easy. I mean, also that it can be pronounced by everyone is practically impossible, because you cannot cover all the languages and all the different
but
ways.
At least the ones that you speak, or at least the one that the kids are going to be exposed to.
Exactly.
Those are the ones you want to be careful.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but still,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. But yes, if you have people who mispronounce your name and this affects you, then I must say it's the way we discussed it with our children was like, I don't mind if someone pronounces my name in a different way, as long as they address me with that respect that you were just mentioning, that they don't make fun out of me or whatever. I mean, Ute rhymes with pute, with rute, and these are not so nice words.
Okay. All right.
So I was like, oh, Ute pute, something like that. And I said, that's annoying. It's annoying one time, it's annoying 2 times. The 3rd time, you just don't listen to it. You say, were you talking to me? Seriously? Something like that. You learn to live with it. Yeah. But the different pronunciations is something that when our children have this ear for different languages, and they are exposed to different languages, they will hear their names pronounced in different ways, and that's just part of how it is. And the less you get annoyed or also intimidated by it, the better. Yeah, I say, as long as I can understand that you are referring to me, then it's fine. I mean, if I don't understand the name, but you make eye contact, then I can understand. Oh, you're talking to me.
But as parents, right? If we can have our kids avoid these complications as much as possible, because there are other restrictions too. Like in our family, we have a Chinese character that represents the generation. So my generation has like I said, Mao Zedong. The Mao is the first character of my first name that is common to all the kids in my generation.
In your generation.
My kids would have a different one. My father has a different one.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So you want to build that into the name, or which is what we did here, is that we gave them an English name that Ronnie, that anybody can pronounce.
Yes.
That's if they go to Taiwan, his name is Zhu Long. Zhu is the name that that all his cousins would have. That boys in that generation would have.
Okay, so it's the same also for your second son?
Yes.
Something? And so for the girls?
Zhu Long and Zhu Huang, there's no restriction.
They don't have Zhu?
No, they don't.
Why?
Because, it's just the patriarchal structure, right? Because the name passes on, and it's not all families. Our family has that. So my father was very keen on having that tradition continued. And there's like a list of, because my family is the 8th generation with this last name that came to Taiwan.
Okay.
In those days. And then we have like a whole series of I don't know how many generations. There's like a list of the first character of the first name that's listed down. And I don't remember. My father was like the 13th or 14th generation, and then I'm like
that's very. I find it very, very interesting to see how also these traditions of names, which names are passed on to the children or to the grandchildren. Sometimes in some cultures you have 2, 3, 4 names. And the second or the third name is the one of your of any
the
ancestor,
father or the mother,
or the grandmother or something like that. We used to have that, and then with our generation, I mean, with our children, we abolished that because it was becoming very long. So we said no, it's not going to happen. But so my children can now choose if they want to have a second name. I said, when you're 18, you can choose another name and as a second name, and then you just go and make it happen. So I wanted them to have this chance. But there are so many different coaches. I would like to know more coaches, and I know this from many friends of us that come from China or other places as well, that they have European names or Western names that can be pronounced better, because then the teachers or everyone, their friends, can pronounce them better. But
many
Taiwanese
would have that, or people from Hong Kong
Hong Kong,
Singapore,
Singapore as
but
well.
Not in China. Not so much in China.
But I have a friend. It's also a good friend of my son who has a Western name, but he has also a Chinese name. But what I always ask then also, what is your Chinese name? What is your real name? I say real name. I don't know if it's even the right label, but it's always nice to see how they then say, oh, that's actually, and then they say it and say, okay, this is like, you give me the door of your house, that's your name that I can pronounce, and then you open that door and you have the next door to the living room like that, and this is actually my real name. It's so nice.
The intention is great, but not everybody appreciates it, I guess. The younger me didn't really like that. I had to act, because my passport name, right, is not Tetsu. But I always like to use Tetsu because it's much easier to pronounce. So I always write Tetsu Young, and then people would ask me, but this is not it. Well, how do you pronounce this one? And then I have to explain. I'm like, oh my God.
That's one thing. That's one thing to watch out. I don't do this with people where I see they don't like this at all, because it depends on where you are in your development, in your phase or whatever.
Today I wouldn't mind at all. Right.
Yes.
So it's always that the younger years. Exactly. I think the teenagers are the years where I really wanted to belong. I really wanted to not be different.
Yes.
I'm already very different, physically. Yeah. All I want is for people to just leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also when they ask me sometimes, I mean, Ute is a very German name, and then you're in Italy, you're in France, and say, Ute, c'est quoi ça? C'est quoi ce nom? D'où est-ce que ça vient? Je m'en fous. Je m'en fous d'où est-ce que ça vient. C'est pas à moi de te dire. It's not important. It was not important. Just look at me. I'm here. Talk to me. It's like this kind of attention. Leave my name aside. I'm the person you want to talk to. If you're interested in the name, come back in 20 years. I will tell you. That was my reaction when I was a teenager. I couldn't be bothered. So I said, Ute, c'est quoi? C'est quoi en français? They always wanted to say, Ute, what is this in Italian? What is this in French? What is this in Greek? And I said, what do I know? There is no equivalent. Yeah. So translating it shows some interest, but then sometimes you just couldn't be bothered, and you really don't want to know more or share more about that, because it makes you stand out, and you don't want to stand out. You just want to, like, okay, don't look at me, just treat me like a normal person in the group.
It's nice if you stand out in a cool way, right? Like even Tetsu is very, it's still very weird in a sense, if you but I didn't like it so much until one of the guys, his name is Dominique. Shout out to Dominique. He said, my God, I wish I had a name like Tetsu. Everybody's called Dominique now. So
that's true.
That gave me like a lot of confidence in it.
That's another one. If you have a name that everyone has, I don't know, like a few years ago, Kevin, everyone was Kevin, or everyone was called Laura. I don't know how many Lauras I know. I can't count them anymore. And you always have to say Laura, but the Laura that. You always have to ask something. It's the daughter of, or the sister of, or she's the one in Switzerland, in Zurich. No, the one in Winterthur. No, the one in St. Gallen. Doesn't make sense. So if you have that kind of name, I can imagine that you really would like to have a name that is standing a little bit out, or sounds a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're the only Ute I know.
Oh, well,
special.
not so. Oh, so special. You're the only Tetsu I know. So.
There you go. But
Yes,
that's
exactly.
not a very
Common
well, it's not a very uncommon name. It's not super
Uncommon.
common. Tetsuya is more. It's quite common. Tetsuya.
Tetsuya.
But when it ends just Tetsu is a little is more common. Uncommon.
Uncommon.
But not
Yeah, it's,
it's not unique in the sense that
Yeah.
there's nobody called Tetsu. There's
yes.
quite a bit. But
Yeah.
the same Chinese character, the Tetsu means it's the first part of philosophy. Tetsu gaku means the
Tetsu
study. Yeah, it
Of
means philosophy, study
philosophy.
of. Okay, so it's the study of philosophy. Tetsu gaku is philosophy, and that character, that Chinese character Tetsu, can be pronounced different ways. So
It's
Tetsu
philosophy.
is one way. Yeah, Tetsu is the way to pronounce it for philosophy, but you can also pronounce it Satoru. That's another
Satoru.
quite common Japanese name.
Yes.
It's actually more common to pronounce it Satoru than Tetsu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Same
my
character.
yes. So my son will probably know this because he's studying philosophy. So he said,
there you
"Okay,
go.
Tetsu."
Yeah,
Yes.
ask him, what does Tetsugaku mean?
Tetsugaku. Yeah.
Tetsugaku.
I will ask him.
Yeah.
He probably will say, "Mom, why are you asking me that?" No, but
Anything plus gaku.
Yes.
Seibutsugaku. Seibutsu is
Seibutsu.
living things. So seibutsugaku, study of living
Seibutsugaku.
things, biology, right?
Yeah.
Kagaku. Kagaku is chemistry.
It's just a science of
Science of or the study of.
or study of.
Ningengaku. Anthropology.
Ningengaku.
Yeah. Ningen
What
is
is-
humans.
What is philology? So
Philology. Oh my goodness, I don't know.
No.
Even in English, what does philology mean?
or
I'm
of
not too sure.
literature.
Of literature.
Or literature.
Well, literature is
Not
bungaku. Bungaku. Bun is like grammar. No.
bungaku.
Yeah.
It's only part of literature. So
Yeah.
okay. Or linguistics.
But it doesn't literally mean grammar. That's not what I mean. Bungaku is
Bungaku.
the whole field of literature.
Okay. Yeah. Great. I'm learning.
Wow. It's almost 2:10. Wow. That little can that we
gosh.
opened up got us
Yes.
over the time for about 10 minutes. It's okay. It's okay. So we've covered a few questions today. That was fun. And we even got into our names. We haven't talked about this before.
Others.
I think it's fascinating.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
It is. Absolutely.
Indeed.
Great.
All right. So how about we wrap it up for today? And we'll be back once again next week around the same time, 1 p.m. Montreal or New York, the Eastern time. And then it's 7 p.m. in your neck of the woods, right?
Amsterdam or Central European time. Yes.
Central
Okay.
European time.
Great. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Alla prossima. Ciao.
Ta-da.